How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and this is my 1991 Honda Civic LX sedan. I bought this car off my neighbor 8 months ago after I got into the unfortunate accident with my white crew cab that most of y'all know me for. This is a little different thing that we're going to have on the channel, only for this video actually, so stay tuned for the reason being. The absolute greatest thing about this car is I only paid $100 for it. Now, somebody would say, yeah, that's bullshit. Actually, no, it's not. My neighbors, they're elderly couple. They were the original owners of this car. They took as good care of it as one elderly couple would. And they had bought another car. Matter of fact, it was another Honda Accord. About 3 years before I wound up buying this one off of them. So it just sat around. It didn't really go anywhere. They never used it. And when they saw that I got in the accident, they decided that they no longer needed the car and they wanted it to go to somebody who was actually going to take care of it and more or less get it back on the road and enjoy it. And of course, with a small family, I needed 4 doors at the time. So I figured a couple of y'all were interested in seeing the car itself, so I figured I'll make a video on it. A couple of you said you were interested in what it is, kind of why I bought it, and we'll go from there. Here she is up close. This is my 91 Honda Civic LX sedan. So of course, it being, let's see, 32 years old now. She definitely shows her wear here and there. Had a couple of the side markers busted. The windshield is cracked all the way across it. It's missing some of the chrome trim off of the windshield as well. Just some dings, dents, scratches. Of course, anybody 31 years old, I know I'm 27 right now, I show my wear just as much as the rest of yous. Do a quick walk around real quick. It is missing the rear emblem, but it does have the little LX emblem. Like I said, I bought it off my neighbor John and his wife Sandra for $100 because they're more or less looking to just get it out of their driveway. A couple things come with the price tag of $100. This car had been sitting, the previous owner had told me, it had been sitting about 6 years that it had been sitting in his driveway. So of course I had to get a new battery. New alternator. The CV shafts were completely destroyed, or the boots themselves were destroyed. Got to get new brakes on it. The tires were completely weather cracked. I did drive around on them for a little while, but shortly thereafter wound up having a couple blowouts, so I wound up buying a set of wheels and tires off of Facebook Marketplace for 500 bucks. Total, I'm into this car approximately 800 bucks, which even for $800, this is still a spiffy little car. It's peppy, it does the job. A few creature comforts on the inside that we'll see here in a sec, but it really, it's a good back and forth car. This isn't anything that I would take on an extensive road trip, but that doesn't mean that it's not able to. Moving on to the interior, I did wash the car, but I have not vacuumed it out. Quirky things about it, it does have these automatic seat belts. As you shut the door, the seat belt will actuate, or if it's the first start of the day, you hop in and put the key in to drive or run, and these seat belts will fold back. I'll show you here in a sec. But it's got this, I don't know, brown tan interior. It is power locks and power windows. The rear windows did work about twice, and then the motors wind up quitting on them. I haven't replaced the motors at all. The front two windows work just fine, and where it's kind of still cool out, don't really need the rear windows just yet. Seats definitely show their wear. John was a heavier guy, of course, so climbing in and out of this thing, you're gonna get the typical bolstering wear, both here and down here. The passenger side, I'm a little confused about how that would happen, but nevertheless, it's there. Everything on this car, aside from the things that needed addressed, is original. Back seat, same deal, except this one has, or the back seat, of course, has the manual seat belts. But it shows its wear. It's all sun faded. There's no window tint on this thing, as you can see. So sun was just allowed to get in here. The headrest on the passenger side is gone. I did have it, but it was so covered in schmutz that I just wind up tossing it. It is the 4-speed automatic variety, no manual shifter in that. I know that's a big deterrent for somebody who is genuinely looking for a Honda Civic, but for what I need it for, or what I have needed it for, I should say, the automatic has been alright. It doesn't bother me that it's not a manual or anything like that. So, regard to each their own. The dash is nice and tidy. I did have to replace these vents because they were busted. Luckily, at my local junkyard, they had only one 1990 Honda Civic that was the exact same as far as the interior, so I wind up just getting it out of the blue interior out of the 1990 and just putting that in. The heat controls only work on 3 and 4. It's a bummer that position 1 and 2 don't work, but again, it just doesn't bother me none. Go ahead, give the key a twist, and these seats come forward. You have to do a massive amount of cleaning. John and Sandra have 7 dogs, and that's no discredit to them or anything. I absolutely love them. They're great people, but of course, getting around when you're more or less elderly, it's hard to care about a car you don't really need, kind of deal. So I did clean it up quite a bit. Everything so far has been in moderately decent shape. So I am 6 foot tall, weighing in at 175 pounds, and as far as room in the back seat, aside from my size 11.5s, I do have quite a bit of room back here. I don't feel extremely cramped. I'm more legs than I am torso. So so long as you don't have some tall a-hole in front of you, it's moderately comfy. This is the first time I've actually sat in the back seat, so my head, if I hit a good bump, or if somebody hit a good bump, I'd probably smash my head. But I don't ever plan on sitting in the back seat of this thing. At least while somebody else is driving it. And matter of fact, I don't plan on having this car for very much longer, so stay tuned for that little tidbit. Right next to the driver's seat, you do have these adorable little controls down here for your trunk and your gas cap. If you go ahead and pull on them, gas cap door does open, and it still has the original gas cap. So it's just held in there by a little spring or a little tab. The trunk itself, pretty spacious. I mean, for a compact car, can't really complain. I haul tools home on pretty regular basis. You do have the original hubcaps, or wheel covers, we're gonna call them. I do have the original wheels for this thing. They're still in decent shape. Of course, the tires are completely dry rotted. And these are kind of some of the things that I've replaced since owning it. You have your door latch mechanism. You got a mirror back there. I believe this one is busted. Oh, no, this one's actually good. I threw away the busted ones and wanted to keep a spare for the driver's side. That was this panel I was talking about with the fins. The fins were kind of janky. I actually have both the other fins up there. The spare tire and jack are underneath, and you can see there's no rust underneath here. It is wet because the trunk seal doesn't quite seal all the way, but I don't really have a whole lot going on back here. Only two rust spots that remain on the car. The exhaust was rusted off, so I re-welded that. But you do have this little rust spot right here. You can kind of see it's creeping up over here, starting to make the paint bubble. But I'm sure somebody could fix this. I'm just not going to take the time. And same thing over here on the passenger side. It's just right there. Those are the only rust spots that I've found on the entire car. Now again, I'm 6 foot tall, and I still have plenty of leg room. Typically, I drive like this. Of course, you gotta have the Honda steering wheel cover. I still have plenty of room, plenty of overhead room. I do have the seat all the way back. I don't think you can go any further. Yeah, no, it's all the way back for me. Touching the gas pedal, my knee is still a little bent, but it's nothing that you wouldn't expect out of a compact car. Another thing with the seat belts, if you did not want this being here, you can unclip it and roll it back up. I typically just leave them plugged in. The automatic seat belt doesn't really bother me at all. Same thing on the passenger side. But then once this comes up, you can take your lap belt that is retractable and clip it in and unclip it as you so wish. Truth be told, I only really use this seat belt just so I don't get pulled over or anything like that. And how the automatic seat belts work, of course, if you put the key in the ignition, turn it to run, and you shut the door, seat belt comes up. Now, same thing for getting out, or if you have the door shut and you pull the key out of the ignition, as far as the driver's side, it pops open. The passenger side rolls down when you open the door, and vice versa if the car is running. Still a little wet from me pressure washing it. It really isn't dirty by any means, but of course, shooting the video, wanted to make it as clean as I possibly could for y'all. So this is the 1.5 liter. I forget the numbers that belong to that. It still has the sticker underneath the hood, and it still has the sticker over here for the air conditioning on the passenger side fender. At the engine itself, really nice and tidy. So under the engine, the reason why this car, he sold it to me for super cheap is one, it wasn't running. It would start if you filled up the fuel tank, but it would shortly die thereafter. What I found with it was the fuel filter was completely clogged. This is actually the third fuel filter I put on it just to clear out whatever was in the tank, and it's run great ever since. No check engine lights pop up or anything like that anymore. It would throw a check engine light when it would starve itself for fuel. Once it got to that point, I would swap the fuel filter, and so far out of this third one, at $110 a pop with those things, I haven't had any issues since. Continuing under the hood, got a new battery, and a new alternator down there, and a new speedometer cable. So about 2 months into owning it, the cable for the speedometer snapped. I drove it maybe 10 miles and then ordered a new speedometer cable and throw it on. Other than that, underneath the hood, just spark plugs, stuff like that, air filter, oil change. A whole lot of problems out of it, honestly. I mean, it's been just a great little car. No idling issues, no real stalling issues other than the fuel filter. So the absolute craziest thing out of this car, and you know, they say Hondas run forever, and they're almost like cockroaches in my opinion. I mean, they're really hard to beat. This particular car has 528,420 miles at this time. Here on the mileage counter, 528,000 miles. And this engine doesn't like spit and sputter or nothing. I mean, it's great. It's a good little car. I mean, I don't have any complaints out of it. It's good for back and forth. If you're looking to go to work, it's a good fuel saver car. Even with the aftermarket wheels on it, I'm currently getting 25 to the gallon, and there are larger wheels and tires than stock. The stock wheels, I was averaging 30 miles to the gallon, which for a 32-year-old car with 500,000 miles on it, that just blows my mind. I mean, usually you see, you know, 250,000 and the motor's just about done. This thing just keeps going. No check engine lights or anything like that. It is cold, so of course the idle is going to be up a little bit, but it settles right back down just under 1,000 RPM. So the reason being why I'm making this video more or less is because this is going to be the first and last time y'all are ever going to see this thing on my channel. I wanted to make this video because I know I had a couple subscribers say that they wanted to see the projects that I have planned for this year, and this one, it's just been a great little car, and I bought it to let's have a second vehicle. Number one, the wife has her dually, and I have 3 other vehicles sitting in the driveway aside from this one. So I bought it to get one of those 3 vehicles going, and at the time I had gotten in the accident with my old daily driver, my crew cab, and then I got into an accident and I needed a second vehicle, and my neighbor said that he wanted to get rid of the car. It was a perfect opportunity for me to get a second vehicle for an extremely low price and just have a back and forth going to work vehicle. Now that I've got one of the other 3 vehicles going, I don't necessarily need this car, and I'd rather go to somebody who's going to continue the life of it, make modifications to it, and just overall enjoy it, or go to a small family that needs a gas saver vehicle, just, you know, continue the life of this car beyond what I want to do with it. Now that I have that extended cab going, this thing is going up for sale, which is why this will be the first and last time y'all will see this vehicle. I also wanted to make a video on this because on YouTube there isn't a whole lot of more or less clean or even just regular videos on the 1991 Honda Civic LX. Of course there's the hatchbacks and stuff like that, but there's nothing on the sedans themselves or the LX model. So I just thought I'd post a video for those who are interested in looking at an LX, more or less like the sedan more than the hatchback. Personal preference, I personally like the 4-door sedan over the 2-door hatchback. That's just my opinion. I know that's kind of a little controversial in the Civic world, if you will. A lot of people go for the hatchbacks, but there wasn't a whole lot of decently clean examples of the sedans themselves. So it just adds to the video, or the videos out there that are of the sedans. And by all means, this isn't like the cleanest one out there, but it is a survivor, if you will, in my opinion. Having the very minimal rust and the parts that I've replaced on it. Realistically, this is a very well taken care of car, and I would rather go to somebody who's going to further continue taking care of it or continue to mod it or anything like that. It's just a great little car. I am selling it, and I need y'all's help. I don't know the price ranges on these things. I know I see Honda Civics in the 80s and 90s era on Facebook Marketplace for anywhere between $800 and $3 grand. Now, granted, the LX model isn't that desirable in the Honda Civic community as far as modding goes. I need y'all's estimates of what y'all think this car is worth. In my opinion, I would put it on Facebook Marketplace for $1,200 bucks, and this car would be great for, you know, a small family that just needs something to get back and forth. It'd be great for a first-time driver. It's relatively slow. It's got enough pep to get you where you need to be, but you don't have to worry about, in the condition that it's in right now, somebody going out and, you know, 100 miles an hour down the interstate. The fastest I've managed to get this thing was 90 miles an hour, and it felt safe and planted at that. But you know, it's a good fuel saver and first-time vehicle owner vehicle, in my opinion. I would leave a comment below as to what you guys think this thing is worth. Just put in perspective, the rear windows don't work. The heater only works on 3 and 4 setting. It could use some front end work, suspension work overall, but in the condition that's at, it's still obviously drivable. Broken windshield, couple missing interior parts like the ashtray out of the center console for the front, the driver and the passenger. But other than that, I mean, it really is just a decent little car. So if you're interested, at the time of this video being posted, it is for sale in Tennessee. I imagine it won't be for sale for too long. March 24th is when I'm recording this, so anytime after that, just assume it's either sold or anything like that. So let me know what you guys think it's worth. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.